I'm Chris from Airwindows, and hey, you can do this. Because this is the final in my Z series of filters, ZNotch. And let's show you what it looks like. There it is there. And here's the deal. This is designed to be a Z series filter made to sound kind of like the Emu E6400 Ultra Phaser effect. And that's not exactly what we've got here, but my X series filters had a notch, and it decided that it would be a good thing to do a proper notch in this style. So what we've got here is, if we switch over to the raw audio, this is off of the actual sampler itself. That's Phaser 1. So what you can hear in that is it's quite loud and distorted. And what they call a phaser effect is either a notch or a set of notches that are sweeping around as you manipulate the control. So you always have highs. And it's got this sort of jet taking off kind of swoosh going on. Whereas if we switch over to the Airwindows effect, again, you always have highs. You can notch the extreme lows out a little bit. And there's your notch filter style effect, with the same thing being done to it in this example, which is turn the input up all the way so it's wildly distorted. Because that was the trick with trying to do these sampler filters. You don't have to distort them. But one of the things folks in drum and bass like to do with these samplers is sample stuff in and then use the gain inside it to clip everything real hard, because it drives the filter harder and also gives you lots of crunchy raw digital distortion to affect with the filter. And we've also got, let me scooch this over again a little bit. This is Phaser 2. And you can hear I'm playing the sampler that way. Whereas with the plug-in effect, we can go a little beyond that, I think. So I think around 0.75 is fairly close to Phaser 2. And that's my take on the other, which is just a variation on the pulse control. And of course we can bring pulse up all the way. And that's real crunchy. So how you would use this in a more normal context. Like, this could also be something that could be used on, say, kick drums or whatever. I have this in mind with regard to maybe throwing it on kick drum microphones to sculpt the effect a little bit. I will dial this back just a hair. And we're continuing to listen to ZNotch. I'll bring the output up a little bit and we'll fool with it. This is not a kick mic, but you can listen to what it's doing to the kick. We can pad the output, which is probably what you're going to want to do a lot if you're driving it. We can drive it a little. And when you have the poles turned up, what we're getting is a very strong effect because each of the individual filter stages are doing that peculiar kind of digital clipping inside the filter calculations, which I'm told is what was going on with the Emu. But if we're trying to make it be a normal sound, we're probably going to want to maybe have some of this gain in here, but we're going to want to go with the dry wet. And of course, with all of these filters, they work the same. 0 to 0.5 is dry wet for the first stage, and then you keep adding stages as you go. So we can have a completely dry sound, or we can have whatever we're doing with the we'll pad that just a little bit. The wet sound, we've got the notch going on. We can also take this down. In Logic, you can hold Option to get fine tuning. And in doing this, we can get our filter without lots of distortion. Although it still, you'll notice, has a distinct sound to it, which is what the Z filters are all about. And I'll try to dial in something that sounds good on that kick drum and sort of sucks out some of the boxy mid-range. This is meant to be done by ear. That's why some of my things don't have like frequency controls. You should hear what it's doing. It's a bit of a forcing behavior. It's designed to make you listen. And we're losing lows here. There's our lows. We could turn this up to exaggerate it. And there's a solid kick drum. We can deepen it a little bit by moving the notch just a little bit lower. And then as long as we're playing, we can pad it and distort it just a bit. We'll make it a little more exaggerated than we need. Back to dry. And now we start bringing in small amounts. And there's a fun way that we can do that too. If we've got it distorted, and we've got the output cranked, and we have the pole at 0, it's working a little bit like the reverbs that I make, where it's dry wet, but as you increase the poles control, you're not losing much dry signal, but you're bringing in more of that extreme distorted filtered sound. And since it's distorted, it's also going to have a sort of compressive effect. So too much, not enough. Just enough to kind of shape it. And we can fool with the frequency to warm it up a bit. Undistort it a little. And this is how we can sculpt a kick drum sound inside the regular drum mic sound. And do it in a subtle way, but with some of these desirable qualities that you get out of doing it in the crazy over-the-top way. And there you have it. So that is ZNotch. And it is the final plugin in the series of plugins that I've done emulating the classic old Emu E6400 Ultra sampler, which is fairly accessible, but I found it cumbersome to work with, and working with plugins is often less cumbersome than that. So the Surge Synthesizer people are cleared to go because I'm letting them do, it's open source, so they would be able to anyhow, but I'm eagerly watching them take an interest in doing their own series of filters based on this. And since it's open source, they can start from actual working code and run from that. But anybody who would like your collection of the Airwindows E6400 style, remember, these are not exact emulations. They're made to sound the same as near as I could get it. I did a lot of things to make it sound the same, but this is not the Emu code. This is not the Emu circuit diagram. It's a sound-alike rather than a copy. And so they're not called the Emu this and that and the other thing. It's called ZNotch because it's inspired by the Z-Plane filters. And by that I mean the Z-Plane filters that were most useful to people making a particular genre of music. I hope you like them. This is all supported by Patreon. That's how I'm able to do things like get one of those samplers and model it. I have further things in mind. And for the next couple of weeks, I'm going to be probably building up some background plugins, I'm thinking, that should help me do this modeling kind of thing more easily in future. I'll have more options for like output transformers that are slightly biased in one direction or the other. I'm looking to put together some building blocks where I can move in that direction and dial stuff in with combinations of plugins and build them into a final result. I'm also working on getting back into making more music rather than forcing you to listen to the same drum loop for an entire month, which I've been doing. My apologies. But as I get the studio up and running, so that maybe I can start doing live streaming music tracking, and my nice little concept for doing music composition in a sort of gamified way, all of these things that I'm working on, with a bit of luck, it'll all start coming together. I mean, no promises. I'm following another fellow, by the way. If you're interested in modular synthesizers like, well, this giant beast, a lot of that is inspired by a fellow that I know, Colin Benders. And he has been spending, like the last year practically, setting up this elaborate, huge system that's been all revised and rebuilt after some live gigs that he did. And he's incorporating computer-controlled cameras and computer-generated imagery composited with the camera. This is some pretty high-tech stuff. So I would do a little YouTube or Twitch is what I think he's doing a lot. Search for Colin Benders, and he's just put a video which is his jumping back into the waters of doing that stuff. It was originally a lockdown modular jam thing where he started just every day, or many days anyhow, jamming out on the modular synthesizer because nobody had anything to do but sit around in their houses. And he says he's ready to start doing that every day again. The danger with doing this kind of thing is that if you build yourself up to it so hardcore, sometimes it's just intimidating and you end up not doing it. So I'm not promising that I will get into this whole like, boop, boop, hi, I've got the cameras and I'm recording music and doing that kind of stuff. I'm not promising that I'm going to do that, but I have been working towards firing that machine up again and seeing what I can get out of it. And although I have been of two minds as to whether I want to record more music and be doing it in secret and only show people the results, or be doing it on live streams, that's kind of up in the air. I'll see how it goes. I'll probably be doing it on YouTube rather than Twitch, because I just generally don't hang out very much on Twitch, and I don't have much in the way of connecting stuff to Twitch and having special things going on with it. But as you might remember, I have done a bunch of this in my day, so I might be getting back into doing it again. We'll see. On that note, I will talk to you later, and I hope you enjoy ZNotch and the series of Z-Plane style filters that I've been doing. And as you can also see, the video switcher is back. I did not fix it. The one that I was using broke permanently, but I replaced it. And that now has a better heatsink under it, and I'm working on getting even more high-powered heat sinking going to cool it properly. So with a bit of luck, this one's not going to burn up. I've also got, if anybody's curious or uses an A10 Mini from Blackmagic, I have some theories that I posted about in their subreddit on what killed the one that I had. And part of it was plugging too many things in that did rescaling on the fly. So I should be able to take care of this one better, which means I'll be able to do the live streaming again and the automatic camera switching and all that kind of stuff. And we'll see. We'll see. On that note, I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.